Hello everyone and welcome to the GIBA Stream Team. GIBA of course standing for Guernsey Indoor Bowling Association, and today I have the absolute pleasure of being joined by Guernsey's manager, Mr. Paul Ingrouille. He's here to talk to us about the heritage that Guernsey holds with regards to bowling. We have such a rich heritage here. So without further ado, I'd like to say hello Paul.
Hello Alex.
How are we keeping today?
Very well, and delighted to be here and able to chat to you.
Fantastic. Right, let's get into it. So potentially, let's start with the elephant in the room, or one could argue perhaps the mouse. Guernsey is hosting the World Bowls Indoor Championships for the first time. And for listeners who might not be so familiar why a small island such as Guernsey is hosting such an international event, potentially you could give us a bit of background on what bowls means to the island of Guernsey.
Bowls has been played in Guernsey for almost 100 years, starting outdoors, I believe, at the Guernsey Bowling Club in 1927, and it was taken on by the members there, and then ultimately the Guernsey Bowls Association, another outdoor association, was formed. And I think the Northern Bowling Association came along in 1934, Vale a little bit later. And with regard to indoor bowls didn't start until 1976. And that's when the association was formed, really on the back of the fact that the Beausejour Leisure Centre was about to be constructed. It had been some 10 years in the planning and the making. And the leisure centre was opened, and there was a 4-rink bowls hall in there, which attracted the outdoor players who wanted to play in the winter time.
So the bowls hall was in Beausejour? It was. Okay, so for those of any listeners not necessarily familiar, Beausejour is an indoor leisure area kind of on the island of Guernsey. It hosts a variety of sports. There's a hall for the likes of basketball, there's some squash courts. But never did I expect there to be bowls indoors at Beausejour.
There most certainly was. And it was it ran very successfully for the first probably 2 or 3 years, 3 or 4 years maybe. And then I think the powers that be of the Recreation Committee, who oversaw the leisure centre, suddenly realised that they could make a little bit more money if they introduced roller skating. And so the carpet was taken up several times a week for roller skating.
Wait, so when's this? This is in the 80s?
This is in the very early 80s.
Oh, this is classic 80s.
Yes.
We got roller skating is superseding bowling. Fantastic.
And there was roller hockey, there were roller discos.
All the roller varieties are coming out to play.
Yes,
okay,
yeah.
Fantastic.
And it was a success from the Recreation Committee's point of view. But for bowlers, to go from 7 days a week down to 3 days a week was not so good. So ultimately, the association tried and were ultimately successful in finding their own premises, largely as a result of the tireless work done by Henry Letitia, who was the first president of the association and in fact held that office for 20 years. But a site where there was some industrial buildings making concrete blocks was finally purchased, and members contributed over the years, over a year-long period maybe, to actually converting those warehouses into a 4-rink stadium. I was 23 or so at the time.
Okay.
And obviously I was one of the youngest, if not the youngest at the time. That's not how indoor bowls is these days, but it was then. And I spent many, many hours on the concrete mixer, making cement and mortar, and off we went. And Henry Letitia, as I say, was the brainchild behind it, with a support of a council. And there was another chap called Acker Pressland who was very much hands-on.
Okay.
And he looked after the building side of things. That was his trade. And he managed to get all our volunteers singing from the same song sheet, so to speak, and doing our best. So the stadium opened in 1984 with 4 rinks.
And these are 4 rinks that we see today?
These are the 4 rinks that the Table Tennis Association are in now.
Okay.
So 4 rinks, and I remember at the time the Indoor Bowls Club had 235 members, membership numbers took off, and there were hundreds and hundreds joining, and so an extension was required.
Okay.
So an additional 6 rinks were built, and so the stadium became a 10-rink stadium.
Amazing. So we went from 4 to 10. We're now about down to 6.
We
But
are.
at its height, then, how many numbers were we looking at in membership?
1,250.
1,250 people.
Yeah.
Down here Friday night. No need for roller skating down here. Just
No,
a bit
no.
of bowls in the pint.
Yeah, bowls in a pint, and the stadium was full from morning till night.
Oh, that's incredible.
It was great. Bowls really took off. But on the world stage, which is how your question was first mooted to me, the beauty of bowls for those of us that play it is that Guernsey is regarded as a country.
Yeah, true.
So we do take part in the Island Games, which is great, but we are also able to compete on the world stage. And although the population of Guernsey is some 64,000, we can be competing against the might of Australia and New Zealand, who have many more than that number of bowlers, let alone inhabitants. So it's been great over the years to rub shoulders with the very biggest nations.
I suppose, speaking of Australia, they obviously hosted the last World Bowls Indoor Championships, and now it's Guernsey's turn. But what has Guernsey's history been with regards to hosting?
Well, there's been a rich history of hosting, Alex. 1987, we hosted the Island Games when it was held in Guernsey. And then a real achievement for us was hosting the World Indoor Bowls Council Ladies Singles in 1990 and also 92. A bonus of hosting in 1990 was that we actually had a Guernsey winner as well. Fleur Bourgo came through and won the gold medal.
Who I believe whose picture is proudly on the wall on the stairs. Am I correct?
Absolutely, yes.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And then it was a little bit quiet for a few years. And then in 2006, we had the pleasure of hosting the World Under 25 Series. And there were players from not quite as many countries as are coming for this event. But we did have the pleasure of hosting Malaysians as well as the home countries. And I vividly remember that the tournament was held during Ramadan. So the Malaysians had requirements to meet for their religious reasons. And their manager was also a very good cook. And I remember her in the kitchen downstairs cooking up fish head stew and
incredible.
Which we all had a chance of sampling as well with great enthusiasm. But so they made a mark both on the green and off the green. In 2007, there was a slightly different games because the Island Games was held in Rhodes. They didn't have bowls facilities, and they also chose not to host squash. And so squash and bowls got together and held an alternative Island Games in Guernsey. And so we hosted the bowls aspect of that. And I believe there was actually an alternative one in 2009 in the Isle of Wight as well. But now we come to 2024 and hosting the World Bowls Indoor Championships, which is a wonderful achievement, and largely on the back of the fact that we've had success over the years on the rinks, and Alison Merrion obviously being the president this year of the International Association helps as well, I'm sure, in that regard.
100%. It's a huge achievement personally for her, but also just a marker for our island, right? That she's got
absolutely.
such a high position.
Yes.
And proudly sporting that flag. I suppose, speaking of proudly sporting that flag, who kind of during our history has been, who during your tenure has been some of our finest?
Well, I can look back over 44 years now of being a member of the Indoor Bowls Association. And I suppose we were making our mark largely outdoors, maybe in the 70s, with people like Dot Foley, Dot Corbett, who was actually Alison's grandmother, Alison Merrion's grandmother, Don Ingrouille, Norman LeBeur, Ernie Lacroix, Charlie Woodhard. And they flew the flag for Guernsey on the world stage at World Bowls. But our first real achievement was in 1986 at the Commonwealth Games in Edinburgh, when Jenny Nicol, who is helping us this week behind
shout
the
out
scenes.
to Jenny. If anybody comes down and wants to participate in the raffle, you may have the pleasure of speaking to a former what? I interrupted
Well,
you.
yes. Jenny Nicol and the late Mary Smith achieved a silver medal in the ladies' pairs bowls in the Commonwealth Games Edinburgh in 1986.
Well, there we go. If you're coming down and you want to participate in our daily raffle during the World Bowls Championships from the 21st to the 27th of April, come on, grab a ticket from a former silver medalist at the Commonwealth.
Absolutely. And then, as I mentioned before, Fleur Bourgault in 1990 won the World Indoor Bowls Council ladies singles. She won the gold medal. And then the first of Alison Merrian's many successes occurred in 2001 when she won the World Indoor Bowls Council mixed pairs with another local player, Adrian Welsh. And then she repeated that in 2004 with another local player, Neil Mollett. And then Nick Donaldson won the men's singles of the World Indoor Bowls Council in 2006. And then Alison Marion won the ladies singles in 2009, 2015, 2018, and the more modern reincarnation of that in 2019.
Oh, she just kept going and going and going.
Yes, and she has a number of other world titles in pairs, which she's achieved with not local players, but paired up with Stuart Anderson from Scotland, Simon Skelton from Nottinghamshire, and there's another one that the name escapes me at the moment. It shouldn't escape me. Paul Foster.
Oh, Paul Foster.
Yeah,
Can't let one escape.
So Paul Foster, and so she won the mixed pairs titles with them. And then, possibly less known, we've also had Guernsey players who've done very, very well in the under-25 mixed pairs. In fact, she wasn't a Guernsey resident at the time, but Lucy Beer, who is now a Guernsey resident and, in fact, won a silver medal at the recent Commonwealth Games in Birmingham.
I'm sure many of our listeners will be familiar with Lucy Beer.
Yeah, she won mixed pairs in the under-25s when she was still an Isle of Wight resident, as it happens. And then other Guernsey players that featured Craig Dorry, Dan Delamere, Sophie Raby, who will be taking pictures for the local paper.
Oh, there you go. Come and buy a raffle ticket for a former silver medalist at the Commonwealth and come and get your picture taken by Sophie Raby, a former under-25s mixed pairs champion.
Yeah, and then Lauren Baptiste as well, who achieved victory in the mixed pairs. And then Catherine Bonsall, who is a current player, current secretary. She won a bronze in the under-25 singles as recently as last year.
Oh, amazing.
And then on the Island Games front, we've really led the way as islands. 1987, we took gold in everything except the ladies' pairs and ladies' fours, where we had silver. In 2005, in Shetland, we took gold in everything apart from the ladies' pairs, but we got silver in that one as well, and we won the team gold. And then in 2023, we achieved a clean sweep of all the golds. Plus, because it was an open competition, we finished up with some silver as well. So
yeah. That's absolutely incredible, isn't it? I mean, you think how well we did in the likes of kind of 2005 and 1987, only to then come out and somehow manage to top it in 2023. And then let's not even forget just how much of a star-studded final we had for the open singles, with Ali Merrion versus Ian Merrion in that final, the husband versus wife. What a dream that was.
It was, and I think Ian's still doing the dishes at home.
100%. 100%. So I suppose kind of following on from the success we've had over the course of history with Guernsey and bowls, and also even harking back to last year at the 2023 Island Games, I feel a part of that Games was to seek to inspire the next generation, and with just how good Guernsey's been kind of historically with bowls, it'd be brilliant seeing that going forward. So what words would you say over your 44-year tenure? I believe you mentioned that you'd give to somebody either looking to just join bowls to give it a go or weave themselves into the tapestry.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately you can get out of it whatever you want. If you want to come down and have a friendly game, as some people do, just a roll up as we call it, not something to smoke, but just a roll up on the green with a few mates and have a laugh. That's fine. Have a drink.
Well, I must
afterwards.
admit, we don't offer that kind of roll up but we do have a very reasonably priced bar that people can come and enjoy and share a drink with afterwards.
Yeah, so you can just play socially. In fact, we also host some firms have firms evenings where they come along and have a game of bowls. But at the other end of the scale, if you want to test your mettle against the very best, you can initially try and win one of the qualifying tournaments in Guernsey, and then ultimately, as I've said before, rub shoulders with the very best of England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, or even beyond that on the world stage. When I started, I was a youngster in terms of the bowls players that we had at the time, and I was 23.
Okay, wow.
And nowadays we have players who are 23 and they've been playing for 10 years or 15 years already. We currently have some youngsters in the Tigers that are as young as 5.
It's incredible, isn't it?
So, and also the other end of the scale, we do have some members who are in their 90s. So it's anything and everything. Whatever you want from it, you can get from it. And if you are ambitious, it is possible, if you dedicate yourself to it, that you can travel the world. I mean, I was fortunate enough to go to New Zealand, Australia, Malaysia, South Africa, England, Scotland, Ireland, Wales, Shetlands, and even Jersey playing bowls.
Even Jersey. That's the crowning achievement. Did you win in Jersey?
A few times, but as I say, you can get from it what you want, and if you are dedicated to it, and it does need a fair bit of practice. And Alison Merion is a prime example of what can be achieved from a little nation, and I'm sure that hopefully waiting in the wings is the next. I'm sure Alison will be going for a fair few years yet, but there will be somebody who will be able to carry on where she's left off.
Carry on the torch. That's brilliant. Well, thank you so much for that, Paul. We really do appreciate your time, and we look forward to hearing more from you in a future release podcast that I believe is coming out later this week.
Okay, thanks, Alex.
So people can look forward to that. And if anybody's interested in coming to watch the World Bowls Indoor Championships that are being proudly hosted in Guernsey, we're hosting them from the 21st of April until the 27th. And we'd absolutely love to have you. Please come on down, and we'll be giving you all a warm welcome. And there's plenty to watch, plenty to see, plenty to do. More details are available on our website or any of our social medias. But yeah, we look forward to seeing you. So with that, I will say thank you very much to Paul.
Thank you, Alex.
Thank you very much. And I've been a member of the GIBA Stream Team. And with that, Alan Bushoy.